God told me to warn you. Very sad. Someone loves you so much, but confused. This woman is to blame. The quiet feeling in your heart did not appear without a reason. Before you scroll away, pause for just a moment, because this message may gently explain something you have been carrying for a long time. You have wondered why certain emotions seem unfinished, why someone's kindness appears and disappears without explanation, and why your heart senses affection even when words never arrive. Stay with this, because what you are about to hear is not about chasing certainty. It is about understanding the quiet space where love and confusion often exist together. Sometimes the deepest feelings are not hidden by a lack of love. They are hidden by fear, misunderstanding, and the voices of people who do not truly know your heart. There is someone who cares about you more deeply than you realize. Their feelings did not grow overnight. They developed slowly through small moments that perhaps even you overlooked. They remember conversations that seemed ordinary to you, but became unforgettable to them. They noticed your kindness when nobody else mentioned it. They admired your strength during moments when you believed you looked weak. Yet every time they gathered enough courage to move closer, something inside them became unsettled again. The confusion was never created because you were not enough. It came from outside influences that quietly shaped the way they viewed their own emotions. There is something important here, because not every voice surrounding a person helps them understand what their heart already knows. Among those influences is a woman whose opinions carry more weight than they should. She may be a relative, a close friend, a mentor, or simply someone whose approval has always mattered to them. She does not necessarily wish to create harm, yet her fears, past disappointments, or personal expectations have colored the advice she gives. Without realizing it, she has encouraged hesitation instead of honesty. She has made simple feelings seem complicated and genuine affection feel risky. Because of that, the person who cares about you has begun questioning emotions that once felt clear. Their silence is not proof that love has disappeared. It is evidence that they are still trying to separate their own heart from the expectations placed upon them by someone they trust. Even so, quiet truth has a remarkable way of remaining present. Real affection does not vanish simply because confusion enters the room. It waits patiently until clarity becomes stronger than doubt. You do not need to force answers or rush what is still unfolding inside another person's heart. Continue becoming the person you are meant to be, allowing peace to shape your days instead of unanswered questions. What belongs in your life will always find its way through honesty rather than pressure. And what you discover next about this unseen connection reveals something even more surprising than the confusion itself. There are moments when the heart understands something long before the mind is ready to accept it. That is where this story continues. The person who has been quietly carrying these feelings has tried more than once to convince themselves that letting go would be easier. They have distracted themselves with work, responsibilities, and endless thoughts, hoping time would erase what they feel whenever your name crosses their mind. Yet every attempt has led them back to the same quiet realization. The connection they feel has never completely faded. It simply became buried beneath uncertainty. Stay with this, because the next piece helps explain why their actions have not always matched their emotions. The woman who influenced their thinking did not hand them answers. She handed them questions. She encouraged them to overanalyze every possibility instead of listening to the calm voice within. She reminded them of stories where people were hurt, relationships failed, and trust was broken. Those stories were never about you, yet they slowly became the lens through which your connection was viewed. As days passed, hesitation grew stronger than confidence. They began wondering if they were imagining the bond, if speaking honestly would change everything, or if remaining silent would somehow protect both of you. The truth is that confusion often grows louder when someone searches for certainty in everyone except their own heart. Even during this season of hesitation, something gentle has continued to unfold beneath the surface. Every meaningful memory has remained alive inside them. They still remember the warmth of your presence, the comfort of your words, and the quiet peace they felt whenever life briefly brought your paths together. Those moments became impossible to replace because they were never built on perfection. They were built on authenticity. That is why the feelings have remained despite all the questions surrounding them. Don't miss what comes next, because there is a difference between delayed understanding and a heart that has truly stopped caring. One is temporary, the other is final. What exists here feels much closer to the first. For now, your role is not to carry the burden of another person's inner struggle. Your role is to continue growing with patience, kindness, and quiet confidence. Sometimes clarity arrives when neither person is forcing it to appear. The strongest connections are rarely built through pressure or constant explanations. They grow when both hearts finally become honest with themselves. As this quiet story continues, another hidden layer begins to emerge, one that reveals what this person has recently started to recognize about you and about themselves in ways they never expected. Sometimes the greatest change happens without a single conversation. While life has continued moving forward, something inside this person's heart has been shifting in ways they can no longer ignore. The questions that once filled every quiet moment have slowly begun to lose their power. In their place comes a gentle awareness that real affection cannot be measured by the opinions of others. It is discovered in peace, honesty, and the quiet certainty that keeps returning no matter how often it is pushed away. Stay with this, because the realization they are reaching may explain why everything has felt different lately. They have started noticing details they once overlooked. They remember how naturally you treated people with kindness, how you never demanded attention to prove your worth, and how your calm presence brought comfort during ordinary moments. Those memories now speak louder than outside advice ever could. The woman whose influence once shaped every decision no longer seems to have all the answers. Your person is beginning to understand that someone else's experiences cannot define their own future. They are learning that every meaningful connection deserves to be understood on its own, not compared to stories from the past. That quiet lesson has taken time, but it is finally beginning to settle in their heart. At the same time, you may have noticed your own perspective changing. Instead of constantly searching for signs or explanations, you have slowly become more focused on your own growth. You are discovering that peace does not come from knowing every answer. It comes from trusting that what is genuine never needs to be forced. There is something important here. The calmer you become within yourself, the easier it becomes to recognize relationships that are built on sincerity rather than uncertainty. That inner peace creates space for honest conversations whenever the right moment naturally arrives. The quiet connection between two people often becomes strongest when both are learning the same lesson from different directions. One is discovering the courage to trust their own heart. The other is discovering the strength to remain peaceful without demanding certainty. Those paths may seem separate today, yet they are teaching the same truth about patience, understanding, and emotional maturity. As this journey continues, one final layer remains to be uncovered, and it brings a sense of calm clarity that transforms everything you have heard so far. A peaceful truth has been waiting quietly beneath every unanswered question. The connection you have been wondering about was never meant to be understood through confusion alone. It has always been inviting both hearts to grow before expecting complete clarity. What once felt like distance is beginning to reveal itself as a season of learning. The person who cares for you is slowly discovering that genuine feelings become stronger when they are chosen freely rather than directed by the expectations of someone else. Don't miss what comes next, because this understanding changes the way the entire story is seen. As they reflect on everything that has happened, they are beginning to separate their own voice from the voices they have carried for so long. They no longer want fear to decide what deserves a chance. They no longer want borrowed opinions to become permanent answers. The woman who once held so much influence is becoming only one perspective instead of the final one. This shift is not about blaming anyone. It is about recognizing that every person must eventually make decisions that are true to their own heart. That realization brings quiet confidence instead of confusion, and gentle honesty instead of hesitation. You also have your own beautiful lesson to carry forward. You do not have to prove your worth, chase reassurance, or change yourself to be understood. The right connection grows from authenticity, not from constant effort to earn someone's affection. Continue living with kindness, patience, and self-respect. Those qualities leave a lasting impression long after words fade. There is something important here. The peace you create within yourself becomes the strongest foundation for every meaningful relationship that enters your life, whether it unfolds exactly as expected or in a way you never imagined. This is not the end of a story shaped by uncertainty. It is the beginning of a quieter chapter shaped by understanding. Hearts become clearer when they stop listening to fear and begin listening to truth. Whatever unfolds from this point should come from honesty, respect, and mutual choice, rather than pressure or assumption. Hold on to that peace as you move forward, because calm hearts recognize one another in ways that hurried minds never can. The final part will bring this message to a gentle and emotionally complete conclusion, leaving you with the clarity your heart has been searching for.